he waited every single night. He was waiting for the one who never returned. Then she called his name, and he noticed. He came back to understand. And finally, he said goodbye.
Hey human, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and drop a comment below. I'm watching you.
Nobody in Cedar Falls noticed the dog the first night. O'Malley's bar sat on the corner of Maple and 3rd, the kind of place where neon beer signs hummed louder than the jukebox, and the bartender knew your divorce timeline better than your therapist did. The regulars trickled in after work like always, boots dusty, ties loosened, eyes tired. The dog was just there. Medium-sized, scruffy brown fur like he'd been assembled from spare parts. One ear up, one ear permanently folded. He sat under the flickering street lamp across from the entrance, staring at the door like he was waiting for his name to be called. People assumed he belonged to someone inside. By the 3rd night, folks started talking. "Whose dog is that?" Lisa asked, wiping down a table near the window. "Probably Hank's," someone said. "Hank forgets everything." But Hank shook his head. "Ain't mine, but he was here last night, too." The dog didn't wander, didn't beg, didn't bark. He just sat, tail wrapped neatly around his paws, eyes locked on the door. Every time it opened, his ears twitched, body leaning forward just a little, then settling back when the wrong person stepped out. By the end of the week, he had a name. Bar Dog, someone said. It stuck. On night 7, a college kid named Tyler snapped a photo. The dog under the street lamp, neon signs glowing behind him, snow just starting to dust the sidewalk. Caption: "This dog waits outside our bar every night. He doesn't belong to anyone, just sits here like he's waiting for someone who never comes." By morning, it had 12,000 shares. By afternoon, news vans rolled in. Local mystery dog warms hearts online. People showed up just to see him. They brought treats, blankets, toys. He ignored all of it, except one thing. Every night at exactly 8:17 p.m., he stood up, like clockwork, tail wagging slow, hopeful, eyes bright. And every night, his tail stopped. Because whoever he was waiting for never walked through that door. But the part no one knew, the part that made Lisa stop mid-step and stare through the window with her hand over her mouth, was that this dog wasn't just waiting. He was keeping a promise. And O'Malley's wasn't just a bar. It was the last place he'd ever seen his person alive. And the reason why was about to break the whole town. By the time the dog had his own hashtag, half the town had a theory. Runaway, dumped, stray with attachment issues. Only one person in O'Malley's wasn't guessing. Lisa. She stood behind the bar that Thursday night, drying a glass she'd already dried 3 times, watching Bar Dog through the window. Snow flurried around him, landing on his back, melting into his fur. He didn't move. "Liz, you okay?" Hank asked, sliding onto his usual stool. She nodded, but her eyes stayed on the dog. "You remember Michael?" Hank frowned. "Mike Donnelly? Army guy?" "Yeah," she said quietly. "End seat, drank club soda with lime like it was a secret." Hank's face shifted, recognition settling in slow. Big dude, soft voice, always tipped too much. Lisa swallowed. "He used to come in every night at 8. Outside, the bar door opened. Bar Dog stood instantly, tail sweeping the air. A couple stumbled out laughing. The dog sat back down. Hank watched that, then looked at Lisa. "You think?" She nodded. Michael Donnelly had started coming to O'Malley's about a year ago. Never loud, never drunk, just present. He'd sit at the end of the bar, back to the wall, eyes scanning like he couldn't turn it off. First week, he barely spoke. Second week, he brought the dog. "His name's Ranger," he'd said, scratching behind the dog's ear, "but he answers to, 'Hey, buddy,' too." Ranger used to lie at Michael's boots, chin on paws, eyes half closed, but never really asleep. Lisa remembered the way Michael talked to him like a person.
"You're safe here, man. We're both safe," he'd murmur. One night, when the bar was nearly empty, Michael told her the story, in pieces, like each word weighed something. Afghanistan, an explosion, smoke, screaming, Ranger pulling him out when he couldn't see, couldn't hear, couldn't think. "He's the reason I'm breathing," Michael had said, voice steady but eyes not. "So I promised him, wherever I go, he goes, no more leaving each other behind." Lisa had smiled. Deal of the century. Michael came every night after that, until he didn't. It was a Tuesday. 8:17 p.m. passed. Ranger sat up. Door opened. Wrong person. 9 p.m. No Michael. 10:30. Lisa called his phone. Straight to voicemail. Next morning, police cars lined Maple Street. Heart attack. Alone in his apartment. Time of death? Around 8 p.m. Lisa's fingers tightened around the glass now. They said Ranger must have run off after it happened. Hank looked at the dog again, sitting under the same street lamp. Same time, same spot, same door. "Liz," Hank whispered, voice rough, "that dog didn't run off." She nodded, eyes shining. "He came here, because this is where Michael would have been." Outside, 8:17 p.m. hit. Ranger stood again. This time, he didn't just wag his tail. He took one hopeful step toward the door, like maybe tonight, just maybe, his promise would finally be kept. And that's when a woman stepped out of the crowd, staring at the dog like she'd seen a ghost. She whispered one word, "Ranger."
The woman stood frozen on the sidewalk, snow collecting on her dark coat, breath coming out in shaky clouds. "Ranger?" she said again, softer this time, like the name might break if she said it too loud. Inside O'Malley's, conversations thinned out. People had been watching the dog for weeks, but the way this woman said his name, that wasn't curiosity, that was history. Ranger tilted his head, one ear up, one down. He didn't run to her, he just stared. Lisa was already pushing through the door. "You know him?" The woman nodded, eyes glassy, but trying hard not to fall apart. I think so. I'm Claire. Michael Donnelly was my brother." The name moved through the cloud like a quiet shockwave. Claire knelt slowly, like she was approaching something fragile. "Hey, buddy, it's okay." Ranger stood, walked toward her, cautious, uncertain. He sniffed her hand, then her sleeve, then he sat, not quite with her, not quite away. Lisa felt her chest tighten. "He's been here every night, since—" She didn't finish. Claire closed her eyes. "I didn't know where he went. After Michael passed, the apartment manager said the dog bolted when the paramedics came. I searched shelters for weeks." Her voice cracked. "I thought he was gone." Ranger glanced at the bar door. 8:19 p.m. Still waiting. Claire followed his gaze. "Mike used to text me," she said softly, "every night, at O'Malley's, me and Ranger holding down the fort." Lisa let out a breath that sounded like it had been stuck for a month. He never missed a night. Claire nodded. After Afghanistan, that place was his anchor. He said it was the only room where his back didn't feel exposed. She looked at Ranger. "Guess it was your place too, huh?" Someone in the crowd sniffled. Tyler, the college kid who'd posted the viral photo, lowered his phone. For once, he wasn't filming. Claire reached for Ranger's collar. Her hand stopped mid-air. No tags, no leash, just worn leather, cracked with age. "I can take him home," she said, almost asking permission. Ranger's tail thumped once. Then he turned, walked back to his spot under the street lamp, and sat. The message was gentle, but clear. Claire's face folded in on itself. "He's still waiting for him," she whispered. Lisa stepped beside her. "Maybe," she said, "or maybe he thinks this is where he's supposed to be, just in case." Claire looked at the dog, then at the glowing bar sign, then back at Lisa.
"What if," she said slowly, "he's not the only one still keeping a promise?" Lisa frowned. "What do you mean?" Claire wiped her eyes. "Michael made me promise something too, the night before he passed." She looked at Ranger like the dog already knew. "And I think I'm about to understand why."
Snow had started sticking now, soft and steady, turning Maple Street quiet. Inside O'Malley's, no one went back to their drinks. Claire and Lisa sat at the end of the bar, Michael's seat. Ranger was outside, visible through the window, still under the street lamp, still facing the door. "He called me that night," Claire said, fingers wrapped around a mug she wasn't drinking. Which was weird because Mike hated phones, said they made him feel reachable. A few people gave a sad half-smile. "He sounded calm, better than usual. He told me Ranger had been restless all day, wouldn't leave his side." She looked toward the window. "Guess he knew something." Lisa swallowed. Claire continued. "Mike said, if anything ever happens to me, don't let him think I just disappeared." The room went still. "I told him not to talk like that," she said. "He laughed it off, but then he said, he pulled me out of hell. He deserves the truth. Dogs know, Claire. They always know." Lisa's eyes burned. "I asked him what that even meant," Claire said, and he goes, "If I don't come home one day, take him to O'Malley's. Let him see, let him smell, let him understand I didn't leave by choice." Lisa's hand flew to her mouth. Claire's voice shook now. "I thought it was just one of Mike's heavy thoughts. I didn't know it would happen the very next day." Outside, Ranger stood again as someone exited the bar. Not Michael. He sat back down, slower this time. Claire watched him. "I never brought him here. I couldn't. I was drowning in paperwork and grief and guilt. Then he ran, and I thought I failed both of them." Lisa shook her head. "You didn't fail." Claire gave a small, broken smile. "No, because he found his own way." They both looked at Ranger. "He came to the one place Michael felt safe, the one place he could understand." Lisa nodded. "But the promise wasn't just to bring him here." She took a breath. "It was to help him say goodbye." The words landed heavy. "How do you explain death to a dog?" Hank muttered from nearby. Claire stood slowly. "Maybe you don't. Maybe you show them." She walked to the door. Lisa followed. Outside, the cold bit sharp. Ranger looked up as Claire approached, tail wagging once, uncertain. She knelt in front of him, hands trembling. "Hey, Ranger. I need to tell you something about your best friend." The bar door creaked open behind them, and half the town stepped out into the snow, because somehow they all knew this wasn't just about a dog anymore. This was about a goodbye that had been waiting to happen. The snow muted everything, the traffic, the chatter, even the hum of O'Malley's neon sign. It felt like the whole town had stepped inside a memory. Ranger sat in front of Claire, his breath puffing in small clouds, eyes soft but alert, waiting, always waiting. Claire's gloves were damp from the snow as she cupped his face. "Hey, brave boy," she whispered, voice trembling in a way she didn't try to hide. "I'm Claire. I'm Mike's sister." Ranger blinked. His tail tapped the sidewalk once. "He loved you more than anything," she said. "You know that, right? You saved him. Every day after that, you were the reason he got up." Lisa stood a few feet back, arm hooked through Hank's. No one spoke. Claire took a shaky breath. "But Mike didn't leave you. His heart just stopped. He didn't choose to go." Ranger's ears twitched at the tone more than the words. Claire pulled something from her coat pocket, a worn baseball cap frayed at the brim. "Michael's." Lisa gasped quietly. "He wore that every night." Claire held it out. Ranger leaned forward slowly, sniffing, then faster.
his nose pressed into the fabric, inhaling deep, desperate breaths like he was trying to breathe in time itself. And then his tail started wagging. Not fast, not excited, just relieved. He pawed at the cap, whining softly, a sound no one had heard from him before. Claire let him nuzzle it, rub his face against it, claim the scent. "I brought you to where he was happiest, where he felt safe, so you'd know he didn't disappear. He was here. He loved this place. He loved these people." Ranger looked toward O'Malley's door, then back at the hat, then at Claire. Something in him shifted, subtle but real. His body relaxed, weight settling like a question had finally been answered. Lisa felt tears slip down her face. "He knows," she said. Claire clipped a new tag onto Ranger's collar. It read, "Ranger Donnelly, always loved, always home." "Ready to go home, buddy?" she asked gently. Ranger looked once more at O'Malley's, at the door that never opened the way he hoped. Then he stood, walked to Claire's side, and stayed there. As she led him away, people moved aside, quiet, respectful. A few reached down to pet him as he passed. Not goodbye pets, thank you pets. Tyler lowered his phone, eyes red. "Guess he wasn't waiting for someone who never came," he said softly. Lisa nodded. He knew to understand. The next night, at 8:17 p.m., the street lamp shone on empty snow. But inside O'Malley's, Michael's seat wasn't empty anymore. His photo sat there instead, and under it a small sign, "For the ones we wait for and the ones who wait for us." Pause.